Love was supposed to save them, but he made it the reason they died. They followed the lie, dressed in light, and awoke in hell. Each circle, a memory. Each sin, a part of her. He wanted her forever, even if it meant dragging her down with him. This isn't love. It's what love becomes when you can't let go. You don't find the devil down here. You become him. This is Descent, a haunting love story through the 9 circles of hell. Let's descend into the next circle. I wake without a body, and yet I'm heavy, like a thought you can't swallow. The air is colorless. The horizon doesn't end so much as refuse to begin. If sound exists here, it's stuck behind glass. I try a breath and nothing moves. My chest doesn't rise, my heartbeat is a memory only. Still, I feel the ache in my ribs, the way I used to feel a hangover lodged behind my eyes. It's familiar enough to be mine. Fog stretches in all directions, pale as watered milk. Figures drift at a distance as if someone traced people in pencil and forgot to ink them. They walk nowhere. They sit and stare at nothing. Some mouth words like they're chewing on silence. No doors, no gates. This isn't punishment. It's being, but put on pause. A shadow moves near me. I tense, but tension is ornamental now. The figure stops close enough for detail. A woman with dark hair cut rough at the collarbone. Her cardigan hangs open like a question. Combat boots scuffed to oblivion. She is reeling away. A name returns to your tongue a second before you speak it. Do you know where we are? She asked. Her voice is hoarse, like she's been speaking to no one for a long time. Not the part that matters, I say. She watches my mouth as if tracking the words help them exist. I'm Kara, she says, then frowns, correcting herself with a small shake of the head. I think I'm Kara. The letters feel right in my mouth, she says. I try my own. Daryl. We stand there, Daryl and Kara, like two magnets trying to remember which side pulls and which side pushes. Something in me leans toward her without permission. Not lust, not exactly. More like relief, like recognizing your own handwriting on a wall you didn't know you written. A wind without temperature crosses us. The fog peels in thin strips and seals again. The ground looks like marble left to rot, smooth, cold, veined with hairline cracks. Footsteps don't echo. Nothing does. Who told you your name? She asked. No one, I say. It's a muscle memory. She touches her throat, startled by her own pulse when there isn't one. I keep thinking I'm missing something obvious, like the word on the tip of my tongue that would fix everything, she says. We're in the first circle, I say, before I know I'm speaking. She tilts her head. Of what? Hell, I answer, and the syllable lands like it's been rehearsed. I expect flames and trouble for saying it, but the only response is the slight leaning of nearby figures, as if the word tugged their strings. Kara's eyes don't soften, but they sharpen. That makes a stupid kind of sense, she says. We walk. There isn't a direction, there's just motion. The fog pulls apart enough to show other drifters, men and women, a child with a ribbon of hair like smoke, and an old man holding an invisible bug. Everyone seems to be waiting for a bus, no one's scheduled. What did you believe? She asked after a while. And what? Anything. I believed in numbing pain, I say. Same as saying I believed in coming back to life for an hour at a time. Her mouth almost smiles. That sounds like me. What did you use to come back? I ask. She studies the ground. Orange juice that tasted like a crime, she says, and something bitter we steered into it. Vodka, maybe. I can't see the labels, but I can feel the cold of the glass. I swallow hard. There's a plastic spoon in my head, white, and pharmacy thin. The taste of syrup cut with metal. A room with blinds drawn and music like water dripping through wires. Massive attack. Low enough to feel, but not to hear. A human laugh. A yellow slip dress. I shake my head. The details scatter like birds. Did we know each other? I ask. Kara looks at my hands. I look too. They're clean, unscarred. They don't belong to a junk drawer life. I don't know, she responds. Which is true in the way a locked door is true. But I know what your room smells like. Dust and orange peel. I know the sound your car makes when you turn it off. The settling clink. The sea sticks in summer. The fog trembles. For an instant, I see a coastal road. A wind that tastes like salt. Her knees straddling my lap in the back seat. Her cardigan slipping off one shoulder. Laughter caught under my tongue like a small perfect sin. Then it's gone. Maybe we were neighbors, I say. Neighbors don't leave their clothes on each other's chairs, she says, and then goes wide-eyed, as if she's surprised at her own authority. I didn't mean to, she said. Don't apologize, I say quickly. Although, I don't know what apologizing cost here. We might be borrowing rooms from our old heads. It's okay. We stop where the fog thins into a plaza the size of a breath. There's an arch with no stones. Beyond it, the white churns like milk ready to scald. A figure waits in the archway, tall, draped in the idea of a cloak. No face, not even shadow where a face should be, just a cutout. You shouldn't talk to it, Kara murmurs. Why not? Instinct, she says, and because anything that still hides in a place like this is doing it on purpose. The figure raises an arm, no slave, just a gesture of one, and points at us. The motion is ceremonial, neither welcome nor threat. I get a pressure behind the eyes like I'm about to remember something too fast. What's beyond that? I ask. Wind, Kara whispers, and teeth, but not the kind that bite bodies. I want to ask how she knows. Instead, I ask, how did you get here? She pulls her cardigan closed. I went to sleep, she says, but the sleep was already happening. It had been happening for months, maybe years. It's all fog on fog, and sometimes there's a ceiling fan with a chain. Sometimes there's a TV glow on a face I love. She looks at me. Yours, maybe. My brain insists your face is a place I felt safe, but that could be this place lying to me. It lies gently, I say. She nods. The kind of lie that lets you keep breathing. I want to ask about the TV glow. A word hovers, bobbing just out of range. Do. Another follows. Depart. Behind them, a comet swinging, a bright tail like a hook in the sky. The words don't stick. They glide past with the thin smile of an usher. The cloaked figure in the arch speaks without sound. The message arrives the way a bruise appears. Limbo is for those who suspend themselves, not by virtue, but by vice, by maybe. Kara laughs once, bitter. Guilty, she says. I glance at the other drifters. They are the color of resignation. I can see now how Limbo is shaped. It copies the void inside you, but scales it to horizon. If you lived in half choices and soft denials, you get eternity at that temperature. Nothing burns, nothing heals. How long do we stay? I ask. The figure gestures again. I don't know the language, but my bones do. Until you decide to know. Not decide what. Decide to know. It sounds like a trap. But every way out of a cage looks like a trick when you've made peace with the bars. Kara touches my forearm. The contact is light, electric. My head tugs backward like a reel catching footage. A dim room, white sneakers tossed under our bed, a stack of tapes and black plastic shells with handwritten labels. Final Exit Volume 1. A man on the screen with a voice like hypnosis, speaking calmly about containers and classrooms and how departing isn't death, it's graduation. Kara beside me. No, not beside. On my chest, her hair in my mouth as we laugh into each other's skin, high enough to forget our names. Then, the memory breaks like a wave. What did you see? She asked softly. Us, I say. I think, or a version of us that remember how to be warm. Her mouth opens, then closes. I keep getting that too. The warmth, and a purple cloth I can't place, and new names that aren't ours. The cloaked figure moves away. and the arch fills with fog again. It feels like a bell that didn't ring. Maybe we're being asked to go forward, I say. Kara shakes her head slowly. Forward is a word that matters to the living. We aren't, I ask. She looks at me like I just asked if water is wet. We are the spaces our bodies left behind, she says. The plaza dissolves into hallways of nothing. A bench appears with no weight, and we sit without sitting. I want to be funny, but I also want to make her laugh again the way she laughs at midnight when no one is listening. But the humor keeps sliding off my tongue like oil. Tell me something true, she says. I try. I was good with my hands, but I used to break what I loved. Not on purpose, just by needing it too much, I said. Her eyes shine. Not wet, exactly. Just more awake. True, she says, as if stamping a form. My turn. I learned early that I can't live at normal volume. I either whisper or scream, and the things that make me quiet are dangerous, she says. We sit with that. Somewhere in the whiteness, a chorus begins. No words, just breath, arranged into shape. It sounds like what you hear if you put your ear to the chest of someone who's decided to sleep through the fire alarm. Do you think we're good? I ask. Good. Like kind? She says. Good like worth saving, I reply. She looks at the fog as if it might answer for us. I think we were tired, she says, and tired people do what keeps them breathing, even if it's not living. I take her hand without asking. The contact feels inevitable. The way heat moves between two bodies in the winter. We lace fingers and watch the horizon not change. The simple symmetry of our hands makes something unnameable hurt. Daryl, she says. Yeah? If we came here together, we won't leave together. The words land with the dull clarity of truth. How do you know, I say. I don't, she says, but I feel the seam already, like fabric that's been torn and stitched too many times and is about to split along the old line. I squeeze her hand. Maybe we stitch better next time. Maybe, she says, but she's listening past me now. Her head tilts. The fog to our left darkens by shades, gathering itself into a slow, spiraling column. It lifts and loosens like a funnel cloud made of breath. The air, if that's what we're breathing, fills with a sweet, still perfume I know too well. The afterscent of bodies that love hard and then lay very, very still. Something's opening, I say. It's not for me, she answers. She doesn't sound sad. She sounds like a traveler whose name wasn't called. The spiraling fog begins to pull. It's not violent, it's a tide. I feel my center tip toward it, like a compass finding north. The column hums, just under hearing. I think of ceiling fans. I think of a comet whose name I can almost place. I think of a phrase I'm embarrassed to feel comfort in. Quiet light. Kara stands with me. Our hands stay clasped. The pull increases. My ribs hum. Figures around us begin to drift in parallel, their faces turning in the same slow way sunflowers track daylight. The next place will try to teach you using your favorite lie. Kara says, eyes on mine. Don't bully yourself for wanting the lesson, she says. You sound like you've done this before, I respond. I might have been a fast learner, she replies, and then she shakes her head, a smile flickering. Or I just remember you telling me something like that. You had a nice way of making my worst habits sound temporary. What if we were the good part of each other? I ask. Then we'll find it again, she says simply. Maybe not now. Maybe not for a while. Will I forget you? I ask, my voice thinner than I intend. You'll think you did, she says. Then some siren in you will hear my footsteps and pull you sideways. You'll call it a coincidence until you can't. The column tightens. The wind without wind fingers my hair. Kara brings our joined hands to her mouth and kisses my knuckles like a sacrament. I want to memorize the exact temperature of that touch, but temperature won't hold still here. Daryl, she says again softer. If you see a storm with a woman at the center of it, eyes like lit ash, she isn't me. Who is she? I say. Trouble you'll call love. Learn what you need and let her go. Don't pray your way through it, her smile quirks. I don't think prayer works where you're going. Where am I going? I ask. Into what you always wanted, until you learn what it cost, she says. And the fog around her thins, pulling her backward as if on a different tide. She's stepping away without moving. Our hands start to slap. I grab tighter, but it's like holding onto a ripple. Find me, I say, because I don't know which promises survive the dead and which die with the body. I already am, she says. Our fingers part, not a snap, a slide. She drifts into brightness I can't see the source of. I drift toward a thundering hush. The last thing we share is an image that doesn't belong to this place. A small, neat room where everything matches. Black sweatpants, white shoes, a patch over a heart. And the air is so clean, it feels like judgment. There's a purple cloth folded at the foot of a bed. My throat closes. The image goes out like a candle. Then the column takes me. The fog becomes wind, and the wind becomes hunger. And the hunger becomes a promise whispered in a voice that is not Kara's and not mine. Come learn the name for what you couldn't stop wanting. I fall without dropping, the way a thought falls farther when you try not to think it. Limbo sails behind me like a page pressed flat. As somewhere in the quiet I've left, Kara's footsteps begin again. The wind here has teeth. It doesn't cut skin, it scrapes memory. It pulls at me in bursts, snatching thoughts from the edge of my mind and leaving me hollow for a heartbeat before the next gust fills me with something I didn't have before. Images, sounds, breathing that isn't mine. A mouth saying my name, the syllables licked like honey off a spoon, a hand curling in the small of my back. I can't see far. The air is thick and red, the kind of red that sits under your eyelids after you stared at the sun for too long. Shapes move inside it. Human, not human, twisting together in collisions that look like fights until they slow, and look like sex until they blur again. Every motion is desperate. The wind pulls them apart in violent bursts, sending them tumbling through the air like discarded clothing, only for them to crash into new embraces with feral need. I think of Kara, her warning. Trouble you'll call love. It's too late. The trouble is already walking toward me. She steps out of the red like she's been waiting in the folds of it. Lily. That's not her name, but it's what my body calls her before my mouth does. Hair black as oil slick, pouring down her back in a way that makes you wonder how it tastes when it's caught in your teeth. Skin the color of candlelight through whiskey, her eyes, ash lit from within, pin me in place. She moves like the air bends for her, the way waves bow to the moon. Every step is a syllable in a language I already want to speak fluently. The wind doesn't touch her. It touches me harder instead, like a warning or an offering. You're new, she says, and her voice is a warm coin dropped down the back of my shirt. Still tasting of something softer. I came from the first circle, I managed. Her smile curves like the mouth of a hawk. Limbo's children, half starved in all the ways that matter, she says. She's close enough now that I smell her. Not perfume, no sweat, but that exact moment in the dark where skin meets skin and you stop caring whose heartbeat is whose. What's your name? I ask. She tilts her head, like the question is quaint. Names are human. You're not that anymore. Call me Lily if you like. It's close enough to what I was when my hunger was still shy. The wind shoves at my back. My knees flex without consent. She walks around me in a slow circle, one fingertip brushing my arm as she passes. It feels like she's writing something there, each stroke a letter, the word building along my skin until my body is reading it faster than my mind can catch up. What's in this place? I ask. What you came for, she says simply. Even if you think you didn't. Her fingertip reaches my chest. I should step back, but stepping back here feels like opening your mouth to refuse water when you've been days in a desert. I don't. The air thickens, the red deepens, and the sounds change. Groans and gasps, wet and raw, carried in the wind like a chorus of sins you once dreamed but never dared. I realize they're closer now. The tangled bodies, men and women, mouths locked, hips grinding in frantic rhythms until the wind rips them apart again. Some are on their knees, clutching each other's faces like they're trying to claw through skin. Others take and take without ever being full. I feel it in my spine, a slow ignition, the old itch that used to start in my fingertips when Kara straddled me in the half-dark room, her breath sharp from whatever we'd taken. This isn't Kara's touch. It's heavier, more certain, Like Lily's already memorized the parts of me I don't want anyone to know. She stops in front of me. Do you want to forget? The question lodges in my throat. I think of the fog, of Kara's hand in mine, of the almost memory of a purple cloth folded at the foot of a bed. No, I say, though my pulse says otherwise. Then remember this, she says, and her mouth is on mine. It's not a kiss, it's a claim. Her lips are soft, but her tongue is firm, deliberate, stroking the roof of my mouth like she's coaxing a confession. My body reacts before my head does. The ache low and urgent, the heat building under my skin. Her hands slide up my chest, over my shoulders, then down my back with a pleasure that keeps me exactly where she wants me. When she pulls back, the red between us shimmers. Close, she says, like the word itself is heavy, or just a scaffolding for your lies. They vanish, not torn, not pulled off, just gone. Her eyes drag over me like she's inspecting something she's already purchased. Good, she murmurs. Nothing here I'll need to fix. Her own skin appears by degrees. First the long curve of her neck, then the swell of her breast, the flat plane of her stomach, the dark triangle between her thighs. My breath comes harder. She steps close enough for the tips of her nipples to brush my chest. This circle isn't punishment, she whispers, unless you count wanting me as one. She pushes me back until my shoulders hit something warm and solid. A wall of red air that holds me like hands. Her palm cups me, stroking once, twice, the rhythm unhurried but devastating. My head drops back against the wall. The wind is louder now, full of grunts and moans and bodies slapping together somewhere just out of sight. Touch me, she says. I do. My hands find her hips, the flesh warm and supple under my fingers, and I pull her closer. She climbs onto me, one knee on either side, and lowers herself until I'm inside her. The sensation rips the air from my lungs. She's impossibly tight, her walls pulsing in slow squeezes like she's milking a memory of me for later. She doesn't move at first, just keeps me buried to the hilt while her mouth traces my jaw, my ear, the hollow of my throat. You feel like someone who's loved before, she murmurs. That's why you'll break better. Then she starts to move. Slow at first, grinding in deep, deliberate circles that make my legs shake. Her breast pressed against me, her breath hot on my cheek. I grip her ass, pulling her down harder as she smiles against my skin like she's already counted my tells. Every thrust draws me deeper into something that isn't just lust, it's erasure. Kara's face blurs at the edges. The taste of her kisses thins. The pull of her warning fades under the pound of Lily's hips. The circle has its teeth in me now, and they're wearing her smile. She speeds up. My head is light, my body taut. Her moans are low and rhythmic, syncing with the wet slap of our bodies. The wind rises like it wants to witness this. Around us, I hear other cries peaking, breaking, only to start again. "Come for me," she says, and her voice is velvet over a blade. It's not a request. My release is sharp, flooding into her as she tightens around me, milking every pulse until I'm shaking. She holds me there, lips brushing mine until the last tremor fades. When she pulls back, I expected her to look spent. She doesn't. Her skin glows faintly, as if she's stolen the heat from mine. Her smile is satisfied, but not sated. "You'll think you found something here," she says, stroking my jaw with one finger. "But all you found is the part of yourself that will keep you from leaving." Before I can answer, the wind surges, ripping us apart like it does the others. I'm thrown backward into the red haze, my body still humming from her, my mind already trying to hold on to her shape. Somewhere behind the wind, I hear Kara's voice. "Don't pray your way through it." But prayer feels far away, and Lily's taste is still on my tongue. The red storm spits me out like bad fruit. I land on something that gives under my weight, spongy, wet, and warm enough to feel alive. The air is heavier here, rich with the smell of rot sweetened by something chemical. I inhale and my stomach lurches. It's the scent of a body that's been sweating through a fever for days, of meat left in the freezer that lost power, or the inside of a bottle after a summer in the glove compartment. The ground flexes as I move, as if it's made of flesh. Pale, swollen bulges push against the surface and burst with a muffled pop, spilling out thick steaming fluid. My bare feet sink an inch every step, and the liquid seeps between my toes, clinging in strings. All around me, there are bodies, not standing, not walking, but wallowing. Loaded torsos, lips slick and glistening, hands shoveling endless handfuls of the muck into their mouths. Some tear strips from each other, chewing even as their teeth crack. Others lap directly from the ground, their faces smeared with filth. None of them look satisfied, not for a second. Lust is a storm. Gluttony is a tide. It doesn't pull you in all at once. It seeps. It fills the cracks. You think you're just tasting, sampling, controlling the dose. Then you wake up drowning. That's how the pills had started. Just a couple in the evenings to make the wall softer, to keep Car's hands warm in mine. But soon, the pill bottles were never empty. Even when they were, I shake them just to hear the rattle. I wanted the sound, the promise, the idea of having something that could make the world tilt the right way for an hour. I walk past a man lying on his back, stomach distended like a drum. His hands are jammed into his mouth up to the wrist. He's choking, but still forcing more inside. His eyes find mine. They're wild, frantic. He tries to speak, but it comes out as a wet gargle. Never enough. The words stick in my spine. The sky here is the color of spoiled milk, roiling with shapes that might be clouds or might be watching. The air carries the wet slap of flesh, the low moans of bottomless hunger. Somewhere in the distance, there's a steady thunk, like a pestle grinding in a motor. I follow the sound. It leads me to a figure crouched over something massive. At first, I think it's a carcass, but the thing is still breathing. A giant pig-faced creature with arms like a man's rolling in amok. The crouched figure plunges a hooked hand into the side and tears free a chunk of steaming flesh, shoving it into its own mouth. The beast doesn't cry out. It just keeps eating the muck beneath it. The figure turns toward me, chewing, grinning with a mouth too wide.
Hungry?
It asks. No, I say, but my voice cracks. It tilts its head.
You're already chewing.
I freeze. My jaw is moving. I spit into my palm, thick grainy paste, sour and metallic. I don't remember taking it in. My stomach is warm, almost content. Almost. The figure laughs.
That's how it starts. No one's starving here, but we all keep eating anyway.
The tide rises. Not water, hunger itself. It pushes at my ribs, worms into my throat, prickles behind my eyes. My mind starts offering me visions. A razor cutting neat white lines on a mirror. The orange glow of liquid in a spoon. Kara's lips wrapped around a cigarette while her pupils bloom huge and dark. The taste of vodka under orange juice. The slow rush. The weightless melt. Somewhere, I hear her voice. Faint, like she's speaking through a fan. The things that make me quiet are dangerous. I want her here. I want the way she crawl into my lap and make me forget we were dying. I want the heat of her thighs, the pill-bitter taste of her mouth. The ground shifts under me. I look down and realize I'm knee-deep in the muck now, and my hands are already full. The chunks in my grip aren't food. They're memories. Scenes from my life, steaming in my palms, ready to be swallowed. The first bite is a night in Rancho Santa Fe. Music low, Kara naked under a blanket. The second is the burn of oxy down my throat, the heat sliding into my veins. The third is a taste I can't place. Purple cloth, a man's voice speaking of departure, as if it's the only kind of love left. Each swallow makes me hungrier. A voice whispers behind me. You're not eating to live. You're living to eat. I turn. The cloaked figure from Limbo stands there. Its face still a hollow absence. It points at my stomach. This is where you'll stay if you mistake feeling for feeling. I can't stop, I say. Can you? It asks. The tide pushes higher. The air is thick, with the smell of everything I've ever used to make the hours pass faster. Drugs, sex, music, lies. My body aches for more, even as I understand the trap. Here, the more you take, the less you have. The hunger is the only thing that grows. Somewhere in the fog ahead, I hear the thunk again. Faster now, urgent. The muck swirls, pulling me toward it. I stumble, my legs heavy. The pig-faced creature, the grinning figure watch me sink. Their mouths move in unison. Endless hunger. It never stops. I fight the pull, but the visions are stronger. Kara's face, lit by the glow of a TV screen. The comet outside the window, her hand in mine, cold but sure. The taste of applesauce and vodka. The tide reaches my chest now. My ribs creak under the weight of it. I realize that if I go under, I'll stay. I'll eat until there's nothing left of me but appetite. I think of Kara's last look in Limbo, the seam she felt between us. If I stay here, I'll never find her again. I force my legs to move. One step, then another. The muck screams against me, every step tearing a want for my body. The want for touch, for numbness, for one more high. It's agony, like peeling skin. When I finally stagger onto solid ground, I'm shaking. The hunger doesn't leave. It just settles in my bones, patient, waiting. The cloaked figure tilts his head. You'll feed it again, it says, but for now, you can walk. It gestures to the horizon, where the ground cracks open, bleeding heat and firelight. Somewhere in that heat, I hear arguing. Voices locked in endless furious debate. The air smells of charred paper and smoke. The words truth and faith drift through the gap. The sixth circle will be waiting for me later, but first, the fire belongs to heresy, and heresy will show me why I follow Kara into Heaven's Gate in the first place. The ground splits under my feet. Not like an earthquake, more like a wound reopening. Heat roars out, dry and sharp, smelling of scorched cloth and burnt paper. Flakes of ash drift upward instead of down, glowing like fireflies that never cool. The gap widens until I see the shapes inside. Figures locked in endless arguments, their voices shredded raw by the heat. I step forward. The air is so hot, it feels solid. My lips crack before I speak. What is this place? A voice answers from beside me, though I hadn't heard anyone approach. Heresy, says the cloaked figure. Those who burn truth to keep their lives warm. Inside the split, the ground drops into a pit of fire. Not flames that dance, but flames that cling. They wrap the bodies in the pit like molten cloth, searing but never consuming. Each figure screams words that sound like sermons, philosophies, manifestos. Fragments of belief systems that contradict each other so violently they sound like teeth breaking. Some declare there is no life after death. Others promise salvation for a price. Some chant names of leaders like prayers. A few just laugh through the burning, their eyes wild and classy. I don't just hear them. I remember them. There's a man in the pit with white hair tied neatly behind his head, speaking over the fire like it's a microphone. His words thrown with certainty, the same steady cadence I once listened to in a dim living room in Rancho Santa Fe. The vessel is only the container. The vessel is only the container. We must be ready to exit when the doors open. Haley Bob. The comet, the sign. I remember Kara next to me on the couch, her knees pulled to her chest, her eyes fixed on the TV screen as if it was a doorway. We both were high, though not enough to blur the sense of inevitability his voice carried. The other members around us nodded in a slow rhythm, as if each word was a dose sliding into their veins. The man in the pit raises a purple cloth, waving it like a banner. My stomach twists. I know that cloth. I remember the way it felt under my cheek when I lay down, the way Kara smoothed it over my body, her hands shaking just enough for me to notice. I remember the applesauce, sweet and cloying, and the bitter aftertaste that bloomed under my tongue. The heat surges up, wrapping my chest. I cough and taste smoke. You chose this, says the cloaked figure. You traded your life for a doctrine written by the hands that never knew your name. It wasn't like that, I say. Though my voice sounds weak in my own ears, we were looking for something better, somewhere else to be. The figure tilts his head. And did you find it? I think of Kara, her pupils huge and wet, whispering, "We'll be together after." I think of the dark closing in, not slate, but like the door of a furnace. The flames below roar higher. One of the figures in the pit locks eyes with me, a woman, face blackened but still recognizable. Kara, or a memory of her. She doesn't call to me. She just watches, like she's waiting to see if I'll jump. The air shivers with heat and voices. They start to braid together, turning into the exact phrases I remember from the tapes. This is the next level. The body is a cocoon. We are shedding the human. The fire in my chest isn't from the heat. It's from the sudden understanding that I wasn't just a victim. I wanted to believe. I wanted the comet to be a lifeboat. I wanted the poison to taste like absolution. The cloaked figure steps closer. That's why you're here. Not because you worship the wrong god, but because you worship your own escape. The ground trembles. The pit contracts, pulling the screaming figures tighter together. Flames shoot upward, and for a moment, I see the Rancho Santa Fe living room overlaying the fire. The matching beds, the identical shoes lined up neatly, the purple shrouds over still bodies. My own, among them. I turn away. My legs feel brittle, ready to snap. The cloaked figure gestures to a path, curling upward from the edge of the pit. You can walk on, but you'll take the heat with you. I look back once. Kara's shape is gone. Only the flames remain, arguing with themselves till the sound becomes static. At the top of the path, the air changes, cooler but damp. The heat gives way to a chill that smells of wet stone and iron. I hear the sounds of chains rattling as something heavier, the slow drag of weight across the ground. Ahead, the fifth circle waits, and in its darkness, violence blooms. The heat fades, but the burn stays in my bones. I feel it with every step down the slope, a deep smoldering anger I didn't carry out of the last circle. That's somehow here now, blooming in my chest like a clenching fist. The air is cooler, damp, with the scent of wet stone and iron. My bare feet hit the slick rock. Water glints ahead, black and thick as oil. It spreads out into a wide, sluggish river, its surface broken by shapes thrashing and clawing at each other. The water moves slow. The people inside it do not. The ones at the surface are locked in combat. Fists, teeth, nails, anything to hurt the other. They don't speak words. They spit growls and curses so tangled with the water, they sound like they're being dragged down by a drain. Every blow lands with a sound that makes my ribs ache in sympathy. Below them, darker shapes twist in the depths, locked not with each other but with themselves, tearing at their own bodies, raking their faces, punching their own ribs like they can beat their own hearts into silence. The riverbank is lined with jagged rock and rusted chains, each chain thick as a man's arm, dangling down to where the fighters sometimes grab them, not to pull themselves out, but to swing and smash into others. You've been here before, the cloaked figure says beside me. I shake my head. I've never. Yes, you have, it interrupts. Every time you lashed out at the ones you loved, every time you turned your hands on yourself, I want to tell it that I wasn't violent, that I wasn't this, but my mind betrays me. A flash of a motel bathroom door, splintered from my shoulder hitting it. Cara crying on the bed, her voice breaking as she said, "You scare me when you're like this." Another memory, my own fist against my thigh, hard enough to bruise, just to feel something stronger than the panic. The sound of the river changes. The splashing, the grunts, the choke roars become a rhythm. It seeps into my chest until my heart is keeping time with it. My hands clench without thinking. I feel the urge to jump in, not to escape, not to help, just to hit something, to feel the connection of skin to skin, bone to bone, to bleed the tension out. You're thinking about it, the figure says. I'm thinking about Cara. I lied. His hood tilts toward me. No, you're thinking about how good it would feel to stop being the one who's hurt and be the one who hurts. A splash at my feet. Water slicks my ankles, cold and heavy. A hand bursts from the surface, clamping onto my leg. I stumble as another arm shoots up and grabs the other. A face rises between them, eyes wide, teeth bared, lips split and bleeding. The stranger pulls hard, and for a moment, I feel the warm rush of giving in. The river wants me. I see flashes, not of hell, but of life. The times I shoved Cara away harder than I meant to. The nights I picked fights in bars just to feel alive. The self-loathing that followed, quiet but sharp, like licking a cut. The pull grows stronger. The water is halfway to my knees now. Daryl. The voice is soft, but it cuts through everything. I look up. On the opposite bank, just at the edge of the fog, is Cara. She looks the way she did the first time I saw her. Clean, sober, hair falling in loose waves over her shoulders. No shroud, no glassy eyes. Her expression isn't anger, it's disappointment, which somehow hits harder. For a moment, I think she's real, but the cloaked figure leans in. Memory, it says, or temptation. It doesn't matter which. If you follow her now, you'll drown. The hands on my legs tighten. The water climbs higher. Cara doesn't move. She just watches, like she's daring me to choose. I wrench my legs free. The hands slip back under, vanishing into the slow churn. My pulse hammers in my ears. My skin feels tight, like the violence has nowhere to go. The cloaked figure steps past me onto a narrow bridge of black stone that spans the river. I follow, the air thick with the smell of iron and wet rage. On the far side, the sound of the fighting fades. The air grows cooler still, but sharper, laced with something foul. Ahead is a dim plain, and in the center of it, I can see the hulking shadows of creatures that move like guards around something precious. The sixth circle is coming, and in it, punishment won't be for what I did to others, but for what I let consume me. The plain beyond the bridge looks almost calm at first. The ground is flat, dusty, held under a sky so still it could be painted. The silence after the roar of the river is deafening. I take a step, and the dust shifts under my foot with a faint hiss. Don't trust the ground, the cloaked figure says. Why? I respond. Because here, everything is a lie. The air is cooler, but it clings in a way that feels wrong. In the distance, I see shapes moving, people walking in slow circles, their faces calm, their postures relaxed. No screaming, no fighting, no flames. For a moment, I think maybe this circle is a reprieve. Then I see the cracks. Their smiles don't touch their eyes. Their hands twitch at the sides as if something inside them is trying to break out. And every so often, a face ripples, literally, like a reflection in disturbed water, and a different expression flashes through. Anger, fear, despair. Then back to calm. As I walk closer, I notice they're all wearing masks. Thin, transparent ones molded exactly to their own faces. You wouldn't know they were there unless you stood right in front of them. I stop in front of a man in a clean white shirt. His mask is flawless, but beneath it, his eyes are raw and red. He looks at me and says, "You have to keep it on, or they'll see you." "Who?" I ask. "The ones you fooled," he says. "The ones you didn't." He raises a hand to touch his mask. The movement is slow, almost reverent. Then he digs his fingers into the edge and pulls. It doesn't come away clean. It tears in strips, taking skin with it. Blood runs down his chin. Beneath the mask, his face is all scars and open wounds. Image from tearing it off again and again, trying to show the truth too late. The cloaked figure steps past me. Fraud isn't just lying to others. It's convincing yourself first. You made promises to Kara you knew you couldn't keep. You told yourself you'd get clean, that you could follow a comet into a better place without leaving a trail of wreckage behind. The words cut deep, because they were true. I remember telling Kara I'd quit, telling myself I could stop any time. I remember saying Heaven's Gate was just for the community and temporary, while knowing we were both already gone. I turn and my stomach lurches. Kara is here. She's standing about 20 feet away, wearing the same gray sweat she had on in Rancho Santa Fe, her hair pulled back. Her mask is almost invisible, but I can see the faint shimmer when she moves. She's looking at me, but her eyes are flat, expressionless. I start toward her. She doesn't move. When I get close enough, I can see her lips curve into a faint smile, but it's wrong. The shimmer of her mask is stronger now, like heat above asphalt. Kara, I reach out. Her face flickers. For a second, the mask is gone, and what's underneath isn't the woman I loved. It's hollow. Her cheeks are sunken, her skin gray, her eyes two black pits that reflect nothing. I stumble back. The mask drops back into place. Her smile is perfect again. She's not yours here, the cloaked figure says. She's not even herself. I want to pull the mask off. I want to see her, even if it's the worst version. But I know what it cost. I saw the man tear his off, and here, the damage is forever. Why show me this? I ask. The figure tilts his head. Because lies are heavier than truth, and you've carried them long enough to sink. The dust at my feet begins to shift. It draws away in rivulets, revealing dark gaps in the ground. From the gaps, whispers rise. All the excuses I ever made. Every time I told Kara, it's just this once. Every time I told myself, it's not that bad. Every time I pretended the comet was hope instead of death. The ground starts to crumble. The masked figures keep walking in their slow circles, unfazed, even as the earth opens beneath them. The cloaked figure points to the largest gap. Next circle's down there. I look at Kara one more time. She doesn't look back. I step into the dark. The fall from fraud isn't clean. I don't drop into another neat separate ring. I crash through layers of heat and cold, like hell can't decide how to hurt me next. When I finally land, my knees slam into something hard and sharp enough to split skin. I'm on a plain of black stone. The horizon burns, low, red flames licking the edges. But the ground itself is cold, slick with a sheen that smells like old blood. The air is full of sound, the thump of blows, the snap of bones, the low animal moans of people who have run out of screams. The plain is divided. On one side, figures fight each other, locked in endless brawls. They tear at hair, slam skulls into stone, rip muscle from bone with bare hands. Each strike lands with a sick, satisfying sound, and then the wounds close, only to be reopened. On the other side, the violence is quieter but worse. People stand alone, facing nothing but themselves. They bite into their own flesh. They drive spikes through their own arms. They claw at their faces until they're unrecognizable. The moment they stop, once again the wounds heal, and the cycle begins again. The cloaked figure stands beside me. Two kinds of violence, it says, against others and against the self. I know which one belongs to me. I walk toward the second group. The smell of iron thickens until it's all I can taste. One man is driving a blade into his own thigh over and over, his expression calm, almost meditative. A woman kneels with a chain wrapped tight around her neck, pulling it till her eyes bulge, then letting go, coughing, and starting again. My feet slow when I see her. Kara. She's sitting on the cold stone, legs crossed, holding a shard of glass in her palm. Her wrists are lined with neat parallel scars, some pale and healed, others raw and wet. She looks at me without surprise, like she's been expecting me. Kara, I say. You shouldn't be here, she answers softly. Her voice is the same as it was on the last night in Rancho Santa Fe, when we were lying under the purple shrouds, and she whispered, "We're doing the right thing." I kneel in front of her. "I've been looking for you." She shakes her head. "No, you've been looking for yourself. That's what you were always doing, Daryl." Her words slice deeper than the glass in her hand. I want to take it from her, but when I reach out, my fingers pass through like smoke. She doesn't flinch. The cloaked figure's voice is close to my ear now. "You hurt yourself long before the poison. Every high, every lie, every time you let the days rot without moving." Kara tilts the shard so I can see my reflection in it. My face ripples, clean, then bruised, then hollow-cheeked with dilated pupils. Each version looks like it's accusing me. "You can't fix this," she says. "I can." She smiles sadly. "Trying is what put us here, remember?" The ground under us rumbles. A crack splits the stone between us, widening fast. Heat roars up through it, hotter than heresy, dry enough to blister my lips in seconds. Kara leans forward until our foreheads almost touch. "If you follow me, you won't come back." "Where?" I say. She looks down into the crack. Deeper. The stone beneath her gives way. She falls soundlessly into the fire. I lunge forward, but the cloaked figure grabs my arm, impossibly strong. "Not yet," it says. "She's not ready for you." The crack seals, leaving only the smell of scorched hair and skin. My chest aches, like I've been punched hard enough to cave it in. The figure gestures toward a narrow passage carved into the black stone. "This way." Circle 8 waits. I glance back at the sealed crack, half expecting it to open again. It doesn't, and I follow. The passage narrows until I have to turn sideways to get through. Stone brushes both shoulders. The air is so cold, it hurts to breathe. Every exhale comes out as a cloud that freezes in the narrow beam of light ahead. When I finally step out, the world is white. Not pure white, dirty, like snow that's been trampled, frozen mud showing through in places. The ground under my bare feet is slick ice. Wind scrapes across it, carrying the faint sound of crying. Shapes crouch and kneel in the ice. At first, I think they're praying. Then I see their hands, not pressed in devotion, but clawing desperately at the ice beneath them. Their skin is cracked and bleeding, their nails blackened, their knuckles raw. Some are locked in place by chains, frozen in the ground. Others are buried to the waist in ice that grips them like stone. The cloaked figure speaks for the first time in what feels like hours. "Here are those who sold their own, not for gold, not for power, for relief, for the smallest scrap of comfort at someone else's cost." I look at the faces. They're gaunt, eyes sunken, teeth chattering. Some mouths move, whispering things I can't hear until I step closer. I didn't mean to. It was for the best. They asked me to. It was the only way. The wind shifts, and the words dig in. These aren't the stranger's excuses. They're mine. I see myself in the kitchen in Rancho Santa Fe, washing down a capsule with orange juice. Cara is sitting across from me, pale, trembling. She says, "Are you sure about this?" And I answer without even thinking. "You said you wanted to go together." The memory hits like black ice under my feet. I stumble. The cloaked figure tilts his head toward the horizon. "There's someone here for you." I walk. Each step across the ice feels heavier. Not from the cold, but from the weight pressing in on my ribs. The sound of crying grows louder until I realize it's not crying. It's breathing. Labored, shallow, close to breaking. Cara is kneeling ahead of me. No mask this time. No flicker of illusion. Her skin is as pale as the ice around her, lips cracked, hair frozen into strands that stick to her cheeks. Her hands are buried in the ice up to the wrists, her fingers moving like she's still trying to dig her way out. When she looks up, there's no shock in her face, only the kind of sadness that has lived there a long time. Daryl. My name in her mouth is like hearing it for the first time. I kneel across from her. "It's really you. It's really me." Her voice is hoarse, as if the cold scrapes it raw. And this is really where we ended up. I want to take her hands, but they're locked in the ice. The skin around her wrist is red, split. I press my palm to the surface. It burns cold. "You remember now, don't you?" she asks. The last veil lifts in my mind. No fog, no gaps. I remember the final week in Rancho Santa Fe. The blinds drawn, the TV playing the same tape messages over and over. The drugs, not the ritual ones, just the kind that made the day pass faster. Cara sitting on the edge of the bed, head in her hands, saying she was scared. Me telling her it's just like going to sleep. I remember the taste of the mixture, sweet and metallic. I remember her eyes on me the whole time I swallow mine, and I remember this is the part that makes me sick. The relief that she was doing it too. That I wouldn't have to leave alone. "You could have said no," she says quietly. "You could have told me to stay. I thought. You thought you'd rather have me dead with you than alive without you," she said. The words gut me. I want to argue, but it's not a lie. It was never about the next level or the comet or salvation. I didn't believe in any of that originally. It was about not facing the end by myself. "I didn't want to lose you," I say. "You did anyway," she responded. The wind sharpens, cutting into my skin. I realize the others around us have stopped clawing at the ice. They were frozen, attentively listening. Cara leans forward, her voice low but shaking. "You betrayed me, Daryl. Not by leading me here, but by making me think it was my choice. I shut my eyes. The truth in her voice is worse than any pain hell has given me so far. When I open them, she's still staring at me, but something in her gaze has shifted. Not forgiveness, not yet, but a crack in the ice between us. The cloaked figure's shadow falls over us. Time to go. I'm not leaving her, I say. You have to. This circle isn't hers to walk out of. Kara exhales, and the sound is almost a laugh. Go, Daryl. There's worse waiting. I'll find you at the bottom. Her words are both a promise and a threat. I stand, my legs stiff from the cold. As I back away, I see her head drop, her fingers resuming their slow, desperate digging. The wind swallows her shape until she's just another frozen figure in an endless plain. The cloaked figure leads me toward a black fissure in the ice. From its depths, a sound rises. Not wind, not water. Something like the grinding of teeth, the size of mountains. The knife circle waits. The fissure swallows me whole. No careful descent, just a sudden, brutal drop through a shaft of freezing air that sears my lungs. When I land, it's not on stone or soil, but something hotter, slicker, ice so clear I can see straight through it. Beneath my feet, bodies are suspended in black water, their faces pale and waxen, eyes frozen open. Their lips move soundlessly, as though still begging for mercy they'll never receive. The silence here is so absolute, it feels like a weight pressing down on my skull. The landscape stretches in every direction, an endless frozen lake under a sky the color of bruised bone. In the far distance, jagged cliffs rise like the teeth of some buried leviathan, and between them, something moves. At first, it's just a shifting silhouette in the haze. Then the air clears, and I see it. A devil the size of a cathedral. From the waist up, it rises from the ice, trapped but unbowed. Its lower body is entombed beneath the frozen surface. The ice cracked is stretched around it like glass trying to hold back an ocean. 3 heads turn slowly, scanning the lake as if counting the damned. The left head is a goat's, black-furred and matted with frost, its curling horns scored with deep gouges. Its eyes are molten gold, unblinking, and its jaws work in a slow grinding motion as if chewing something unseen. The middle head is human, or was once. Its skin is corpse pale and stretched too tight over the skull. Lips split and pulled back to reveal teeth long and needle sharp. The mouth moves constantly, muttering in a tongue that hisses like steam escaping from stone. The right head is of a dragon's, scaled in patches of deep crimson black, its nostrils venting thin ribbons of smoke that curl and freeze instantly in the air. A row of broken spines just from its skull, and when it exhales, the ice at its base pops and cracks as if in pain. The thing watches. It does nothing else. No roar, no bellow. Its stillness is worse than violence. It is the judge here, maybe just a witness. The frozen horizon is its throne, and all of us are insects pacing across its floor. The cloaked figure steps beside me, as calm as ever. This is where the worst are kept, it says. The traitors, those who betray what they claimed to love most. I've already seen that, I tell it. It shakes its head. You've only seen the edge. This is the heart. We walk across the ice, and each step seems louder than the last. My breath comes in ragged clouds, freezing on my lips. The shapes under the ice follow me with their eyes, and some of them look familiar. Faces I saw in wrath and fraud and in treachery. All I hear now, sunk deeper, as though every circle was just a holding pen before the true sentence. Then, I see her. Kara stands in the exact center of the lake, the three-headed devil looming far behind her, like a monument to all we've done wrong. She's barefoot, but frost hasn't touched her skin. Her hair is loose and dark, eyes locked on me, as if I've been on her horizon all along. I run to her. The cold tears in my lungs, but I don't slow until I'm standing right in front of her. You made it, she says. I told you I would. Her gaze flicks to the cloaked figure. And you brought him. Before I can ask what she means, the figure steps forward and pulls back its hood. It's my face. Not the face from mirrors, but stripped of any kindness or illusion. Every bruise from fights I should have walked away from, every hollow-eyed night, the slack-jawed stares of high after high, it's all there. And its eyes hold me, like they've been waiting for this. I'm you, it says. The part you kept buried. The part that never bought the story you told yourself. My stomach knots. Why now? Because you've reached the end, my conscious answers. And this is where you decide whether to keep lying or face what you are. Kara steps forward, her voice quiet but sharp. And what is he? She says. My conscience doesn't look away. A coward who dressed up fierce love. A man who couldn't imagine living without her, so he made sure she couldn't live without him. The devil in the distance shifts, its three heads turning towards us. A groan like iceberg splitting rolls across the lake. The goat's eyes flare gold. The human lips form words I can't hear. The dragon's breath looms into a frozen storm. I loved you, I tell her. I know, she says. That's the worst part. Her eyes are wet, but unblinking. Love wasn't supposed to be a noose, Daryl. You made it one. I took a breath that feels like it might shatter my ribs. I didn't want to be alone. I loved you so much I'd rather see you dead than see you leave me. She closed her eyes, and for a heartbeat, I'm sure she'll vanish. Then she takes my hand, warm, alive. That's all I ever wanted, she says. The truth. The cracks in the ice widen beneath us, black water rising at our ankles. My conscience steps back, fading into the mist creeping over the lake. You've gone as far as you can, he says. The rest is yours. The three-headed devil looms silent over the lake as Car and I sink, the water swallowing us whole. And for the first time since Rancho Santa Fe, I'm not afraid. When the water closed over us in a ninth circle, I thought that was it. The cold took my breath, but it didn't hurt. It was like sinking into sleep. Not the numbing sleep of drugs, not the long sleep of death, but something different. Something clean. And then the cold was gone. I opened my eyes to light. Not the blinding white of hospital fluorescence or the sterile glow of some imagined afterlife. This light is warm, as if the sun has paused just above the horizon, stretching its rays across a sea of drifting clouds. The air is soft, carrying no heat, no chill. When I breathe, it feels like my chest has more space than it ever did in life. I'm standing on what looks like clouds, but when I step, it feels like cool grass under bare feet. The horizon is infinite in every direction, and the sky is alive with streaks of gold and rose. Cora is beside me, not as she was in hell, not as she was on the last night in Rancho Santa Fe. She's as I should have remembered her, hair falling over her shoulders in loose waves, eyes bright, skin carrying a glow that's not from light but from within. When she smiles at me, it's without the weight of accusation or grave, just a smile. Where are we? I ask. She tilts her head. Paradiso, I think, or whatever's left of it for people like us. I glance around. There's no one else. There are others, she says, but you don't see them unless you want to. This place isn't about crowds. The clouds drift lazily. Sunlight spills in shafts through gaps, painting everything it touches in gold. The air carries the faintest sound, not music, not voices, but something between the two, like the memory of laughter. Most people don't make it here, Cora says after a while. Not because hell won't let them go, but because they won't let go of themselves. The lies, the excuses, the idea that they were the hero in their own story, she says. I nod. I almost didn't. She looks at me sideways. Almost. I think you saved me twice, I said. Her laugh is soft. Once by following me into hell, and once by getting me out. Something like that, I say. We walk, our steps leaving no mark on the ground. The sky shifts subtly, the gold deepening, the rose fading toward violet. The light feels alive, not a thing shining down on us, but a thing we're walking through. Cora nudges my arm off her shoulder. So, what do we do now? Whatever we want, I say. Dangerous answer, she grins. I might make you dance. I raise an eyebrow. Here, now. Why not? You've got no excuses left, she says. She takes my hand, spins herself under it. The grass or cloud seems to hum beneath our feet, matching the rhythm we're making without music. Her laugh is brighter than I ever heard it, and for the first time, I'm not afraid it's a prelude to tears. You're lighter, I say as we turn. She pauses and responds, so are you. We stop moving. She studies my face like she's memorizing it all over again. You're not holding me up anymore, she says. You're just here with me. That's all I ever wanted, I tell her. To be here with you without needing you to keep me from falling. We sit down in the grass, the light wrapping around us like a blanket. Cara leans back on her hands. Do you think we'll remember all of it? I think so, but maybe it won't hurt the same way, I say. That would be nice. She plucks a blade of the grass, if that's what it is, and twirls it between her fingers. We get to start over, Daryl. How do you want to meet me this time? I think for a moment. Good question. Not at a party. Not on the way to a meeting. Just somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can see you before the noise starts. She smiles. That's sweet. And you? I ask. She shrugs. I want to meet you on a warm night outside. You to be leaning on a railing, looking like you're lost in thought. I'd ask you, what are you thinking about? And you'd say, you now. I laugh. That sounds so rehearsed. Only because I've been practicing, she says, and her eyes are pure mischief. We spend what could be hours, or no time at all, just talking about nothing, about everything, about the things we never have said in life because there was never enough time, or because we were always rushing to the next high, the next distraction. Here, there is no rush, no weight in our chest, no dull ache waiting to be filled. Every word is a choice, not a compulsion. The light begins to change again, shading toward a deeper gold, the way sunsets do just before they surrender to twilight. Cara lies back and I follow, our shoulders touching, watching the sky slow turn. You know, she says, I think this might be what love is supposed to feel like. I turn my head toward her. What? Like this, she says. Easy, quiet, like you can breathe. I close my eyes for a second, feeling the truth of it. Then maybe we just didn't get it wrong before. Maybe we just didn't get all the way there. She threads her fingers through mine. We made it now. The horizon glows brighter, and I realize it's not fading into night. It's becoming morning. We've been walking through sunset into sunrise, over and over, without ever losing the light. Cara sits up, pulling me with her. Come on, let's see what else there is. We stand. The ground ahead shifts and brightens, turning from grass to something softer, like mist that can hold our weight. We step forward together, With each step, I feel the last pieces of hell falling away. No fire, no chains, no ice, just light, and her hand in mine. You've just tasted a drop of the dark. Ready for more? Subscribe to Amorous Sanctum and let the shadows pull you deeper into a world of forbidden fantasy and wicked romance. Have a dark desire you love to see unfold? Whisper it in the comments. We adore your imagination. Until we meet again, don't be afraid to crave.